Thank you very much, Cyrus. So if you can imagine this with me, it's in the late 90s and I'm growing up in some dodgy place in the south of Johannesburg called Orange Farm. And it's a very interesting time for me because it kind of looks like I live in three different worlds. The first world in which I live in is my home, my hood, Orange Farm. It's an informal settlement. Everyone is poor. But we don't even know we're poor, because if you're poor and your front opposite is poor and your back opposite is poor, poor looks normal. In fact, the first time I knew I was poor was when I went to study for my first degree in Vanderbilt Park at the Vaal University of Technology. And I say first degree because after that they just kept on coming, you know. What a humble guy, you know. So when I come there, some guy says to me, you know what, Siphiwe, for your background, you've done very well. And I'm looking at myself, what background is this guy talking about? And what I call my third world is, I was working part-time at the Mr. Price clothing store in Southgate Mall. For those who don't know Southgate is surrounded by some middle-class kind of suburb. In fact, I call them middle class now. At that time, I used to say it was an area for rich people. I remember I used to say, yo. These rich people, wow, yo. Now I know, shame, they're just middle class. Shame. And how I know that they're middle class is I'm part of that middle class now, you know. I've made it in life, I've made it, thank you very much. And how I know I've made it is that about 6 months ago, I had a break-in in my house. After that, I knew I've made it. Because in South Africa, until you have a break-in, you are still up and coming, comrade. Your time is coming. So it was a crazy world. I couldn't understand what was happening because it was these little three different worlds. And one of the things I couldn't understand was, so these middle-class folks would come and buy most of their clothes at Mr. Price. And I mean, Mr. Price is a discount clothing store. I couldn't understand why these rich people are coming to buy their clothes at Mr. Price. Because in Orange Farm, where I come from, you just don't buy clothes at Mr. Price. So I was wondering why these people coming to buy most of their clothes, including the famous RT jeans. How many of you know RT? How many of you are wearing RT today? If you are white. We just don't do that stuff anymore. So wondering why are these people doing that? Because we just don't do that. But what it did for me, it sparked an interest in human behavior. I started being interested to understand what is it that causes people to behave certain way. In particular, I focused on organizational behavior, which is the behavior of human beings within an organizational settings. And one of the things I did some primary research on what are the things that separates the best from the rest. What are the things that can move people with low performance culture into a high performance culture. And I have 10 things in my keynote called Get Over It that I talk about on how to move people from a low to a high performance culture. And one of the things that I'm going to share with you today, the first step, actually, I learned this. It was the 4th of July, 2002. I was standing at the train station in Orange Farm waiting for my train. The first train number 9003 from Stratford to Park Station going to work. And a friend of mine who was standing next to me, it was 4:30 in the morning, it was dark, and it was cold. So the friend of mine says to me, you know what, Siphiwe, this thing of waking up so early in the morning to rush for trains must stop. We must work hard and get out of this informal settlement. Surely there's a better life out there. I look at him in the eyes, we connect like they do in Days of Our Lives. And I say to him, my friend, I agree, Amandla, we must work hard and get out of this place. That was the 4th of July, 2002. And I went to Orange Farm a few months ago, and my friend is still traveling in the same train, 9003 from Stratford Station to Park Station. And I ask him, my friend, what happened to our dreams? And my friend gives me this philosophical answer. He says to me, you know what, Siphiwe? It's the system. The system has marginalized us and ostracized us. And I know what my friend is talking about because an informal settlement is tough going there. But I would argue that my friend is lying because in the same environment in which we grew up, there are people who've gone to do amazing things for their lives. What my friend didn't understand is this. Things don't just happen. Lives are not changed by intentions. They are changed by actions. So if you have a type of organization where people are apathetic, people are thinking that one day is one day we will reach those targets, one day we will do something. What you need is somebody who's going to teach people that life is difficult and they must get over it. Some people think they're just going to come to corporate culture and then quickly, I'm an administrator, receptionist, and then boom, I'm a manager. In fact, I get a lot of people who say to me, you know what, Siphiwe, I studied business management, I should be a manager. And I'm like, yeah, you will be a manager one day. But for now, can you just manage the printer? Because the printer needs management as well. So if you want to move people from a low performance culture to a high performance culture, Maskulum, let's talk.